Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of Speedrunning Cancellation. Woo! This is my first podcast in a month and first podcast of 2025, which is odd because I'm recording this video in February. That's not good. Anyways, welcome to episode 5. Today we're talking about books. Yeah, we're talking about books. I have my stuff written. I'm going to be speaking based on that. So my options were why I like keeping up with the Kardashians and I kind of like reading. We're going to talk about reading because I kind of like reading. Funny thing. So in elementary school, I was such like an avid reader. Like I would read so much. Like you would never catch me without a book. Like I was obsessed with reading Daryl Wimpy Kid. That was like a big series that I was into. I also used to read Wings of Fire. That was like one of my favorite, one of my favorite series. And also Percy Jackson. Those were like my biggest reads. And eventually I stopped reading. I don't know why, but I just stopped reading. And I got more addicted to video games, which is not a good thing, but here we are, addicted to video games. And I've also been getting into Fortnite more again. Like last time I played was a year ago, and I started playing again, which is not a good thing. Addiction is not healthy. I feel like I'm like I don't like this mic placement. Like I have to get close to it. Okay, that sounded really odd. Anyways, so I created a spreadsheet about books that I read. And I think I started getting more into reading in December of 2023. That was like the start of my little reading adventure. And I read I can like hear myself and the mic is so loud. So I'm sorry for you headphone users. But in December I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I love that book. I read it in 3 days, and if you do not enjoy reading, you should read it. It's so good. I love that book. I read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. After I got hooked onto that, I started reading the other two that followed. It was I don't remember the third book, but the second book was like Good Girl Gone What? Good Girl Bad Blood, I think. Yeah, Good Girl Bad Blood, and then the next one is As Good as Dead. And my headphone keeps hitting the side of my microphone. It's so annoying. Anyways, back to what I was saying. Holly Jackson's books are so good. Like, I became completely hooked onto her books. Like, they're so good. In December of this year, no, 2024, I went to the Bahamas, and in the plane ride, I read the entire book of Five Survive. That book, so good that I read it on the flight. And it was like a connection. So I finished it by the second flight. But I unfortunately did not have a book to read on the way back. So I stuck with just watching movies, which is great. I love watching movies too. I don't know. I just love these like leisurely activities. They're so nice. They're so nice. I love them. And literally Holly Jackson's books are so good. Like I don't know who put me on. Someone put me on, and I'm never gonna come off, bro. Those books are so wonderful. Like they're so wonderfully written. It's like everything's just there. Like you just read the book and then you understand it. It's like it's really good. And I've been recently into like horror / like mystery books. And so I also read One of Us is Lying, and I'm thinking about reading the second book. I forgot what it was called, whatever that was. I'm planning on reading it because I really love One of Us is Lying, and I hope to get into the second book because of how good the first book was. And I feel like all of these, like reading these books, kind of just like in your head, just like promotes more creativity. I mean, like it promotes more creativity just in the fact that I also started making like scripts for films or like plays. I don't have any completed ones yet. I would definitely love to share one of them, but it's called Southside Killer Block, which it has connections from Five Survive and One of Us is Lying both. They kind of just like connect in kind of a way, but at the same time, it's like a completely different story. So I feel like reading these types of books just kind of adds like new ideas into my head. And it doesn't even have to be the fact that like they're like, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's not in the fact that like it adds the same stuff from the book into the films that I want to create, but it's more like inspiration, like the outcomes of all the books and outcomes to like shows and movies. Like it kind of just adds something into my brain where it's like it would be really cool if I added this into this part of my film, or it would just be like I should just completely scrap this part of the idea and just like start something entirely new and see how that works out. And I feel like that was super helpful to me. I have like a stack of books I'll go get. There. Okay. So I know you guys see this huge book. I have a stack here. We have Five Survive. I love this book. Anyways, so as I was saying before, like they just add like a huge amount of like creativity into your head that you definitely would not have had if you were like just starting something random. And I really do have to say, like, I'm super glad that I got into this reading thing. Like, I feel like I would never have started reading in the first place if I hadn't found A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Like, whoever put me on has really done me a huge favor. Like, I just love the entire concept of the book, and it's like everything was so thoughtfully written. There was like I guess you could find loopholes, but they're not that many loopholes that you could find, and it's like the story's already straightforward. Like it's there, the facts are right there. There's not much you can like really change to make it perfect because it's already perfect, and like even the imperfections in what word did I just say? Imperfections? Yes, whatever that word is. But like that just adds to the perfection of the book, and it's like it kind of gives you like ideas of what not to do if you're creating your own story. And I'm not really focused on writing a story. I'm kind of just focused on like building a plot and like trying to find ways to like make it come true and possibly film it. And I'm kind of thinking of making this like a passion project and getting a few friends together and like coming up with this entire thing. And I'm also going to learn how to drive over the summer. So I'm going to be able to get my license. My lord, I just keep hitting this thing. I can't even like turn it in any way. It's like not hit it. But yeah, I'm planning on learning how to drive this summer. And if I get my license, I'd be able to drive to different locations and like find different places to film. So that's something I'm looking forward to this summer. And decided to randomly start reading the Heroes of Olympus series, and I only read like the first two. I read The Lost Hero and The Son of Neptune, and I haven't gotten another book since because it is so much work to go to your library to find books. I honestly just read the books that I find around in my house and like some books that I like, I don't know, get from my grandpa. Um and I feel like also for reading, you could always like donate the books that you don't want to read or the ones that you don't even like. So honestly, it's like a win-win. You can make money. You can be happy that you're making other people happy if you want. But yeah, I James Patterson. I want to talk about James Patterson. I started reading. I don't have a James Patterson book with me, but I really like his books. They're so good. Like they're really interesting. Like they kind of just like, especially like the mystery novels, they kind of just like pull you in a way that you didn't know you would be like pulled into any story. Like it doesn't matter if it's a book or a movie. Like you probably did not expect to be pulled in that much, but just like reading his books, they're like wow. Like I was just teleported into a different realm, and that makes me really happy that I was able to find this thing. And for some reason in January of 2025, I have not read a single book. I'm reading books, but not I have not read any. Mostly because I'm just like really busy with like applications and stuff. So that's that. Um and I've also been more hooked to reading like older books. Like in English this year we started reading The Crucible and The Great Gatsby. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I kinda hated The Crucible. It was not, I think it's just cause it's more about history and like the Salem witch trials. Like the story was good, the plot was good. It was just like not enough for me. Like I would never pick the book up on my own and start reading it. Like unless I was forced to, like by a teacher or like school or something. Um that would be the only time I'd actually read this book. But it's not bad. Like I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. But I really did love talking about them. Like I feel like one day, if I was just like an adult, I would join like one of those little book clubs to just like discuss these things because it's like it's nice. I kind of like I don't know, like I just love the idea of being in a book club and being able to talk to other people about what you read because that's like exactly what we do in English. So it's like wow, like that something so cool. Um, yeah, so I read those two books. I enjoyed The Great Gatsby. That the plot was so amazing. I think just the entire concept of Great Gatsby was just so nice. Like there's so many ways you can interpret what happened and like the ending and then how you interpret the characters too. Like for me, I feel like especially in my English since we were able to talk to so many people about different things that happened in the book, um, I just like realized that I had a different opinion on about Daisy from like other students in my class. But then I also had the same opinions of the same people, and it's like really great. Like I love that concept where it's like everyone just has their own opinions. You don't have to agree to each other. You just have those opinions, and you just can just talk about it and be like, oh yeah, this is how I interpreted this, and this is how you did, but it's fine. Like we're just two different people's two different opinions. It doesn't matter. Um, I mean, I guess like having an argument about a book wouldn't be terrible. Like we have fish bowls, we have those things where we just like straight up talk, and like it's enjoyable, honestly. Like that's great. But at the same time, it's like I'll argue, but in a fun way. Like I would never argue about a book like genuinely. If someone gave me like I don't think anyone in real life would actually just give you a prompt and be like, "Oh yeah, you're going to have to talk about this for like 10 minutes and then you are also going to talk about this for 10 minutes, but you guys are like fighting each other. So you just have to like yell at this person." That's like not like a real situation that would just appear in real life to you. And like I would only do it in class, obviously, because it's like having mock trials and like fish bowls. Those are just like school things, you know, like you're not actually against this person. You're just like speaking your own thoughts and just like making your own claims and things. Like it doesn't matter. But yeah, I maybe one day I'll join a book club and we'll see how that goes. Um yeah, that's super strange. Um okay. So, this year in English, we also had like a little lit circle kind of thing. It was like it's like book clubs basically, yeah. So, um our teacher gave us a bunch of like books about like problems in the world or just like not just problems in the world, just like things in general. Like it's not exactly historical, but at the same time it's like, you know, uh kind of like that, just like book club material where you can talk about like provocative things or like just not provocative things, well, sort of provocative things, but things that you could like debate about, you know, like if you're talking to someone, you can debate about that book. So, she gave us like a list of these random books. So I was like, well, if I want to start reading and I need recommendations, why don't I just like pick something off of this list? So I ended up getting a book. It was called Darius the Great Is Not Okay. Um, I really liked that book. I enjoyed it. I didn't think I would enjoy it because usually when I get a book from like an English class, I don't want to read it. Like, that's probably the same thing with like half the other people that go to school. Like, they do not want to read the books that your teacher recommends you. But I ended up picking it and reading it, and I enjoyed it. And it was really nice to see like how how it feels as someone who has family in a different country. So like I guess like the main character Darius had to go to like a different country to meet or like first I don't remember what it's for called. Oh yeah, it was like for his grandpa or something. So they went to back like to his parents' country and it kind of just like shows like the development of like making friends there and just like living there in general and like how people communicate better there. So like for me, my parents are from India. So like whenever I go to like visit them there, it's like completely different from like living here in America. Um and it's super cool to just like see the different cultures and like the different ways that people live. And it's like nice, especially if it's your own culture and you aren't really too into it. Like, yeah, it's just really nice. And I feel like it's really relatable in a sense, but at the same time, not as relatable. But it's just nice seeing like Darius's character evolve into like a different person by the end of the book. And I feel like books that are like that are super cool. Like I enjoy those books. So if you guys have book recommendations, comment it down below. Like I'll read it and respond to you about how I like the book. Um anyways, so that wasn't my book club book. My book club book ended up being The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I love that book. That hands down has to be one of my favorite books. And I'm like glad I read it because I feel like it was trending like a long time ago on like Book Talk or something. I was never personally on Book Talk, but for some reason on my For You page, I was recommended like one book talk where it was talking about the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And I was like, this is a really nice book, like really interesting. And when we first got the book, I thought she was married to seven husbands at the same time. And I was like, what am I trying to read? But then as the story went on, I like understood, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is like this is great. Like I like this. But I really did like that book because it was like I got to experience like how it's like being an actor, I guess, in a time period where like women were like set down, they were like pushed far away, and it was like mostly focused on men. And it was like all that time where there was like not as much racism, but more homophobia, but a little bit of racism. But yeah, I just like, it's like really eye opening to be able to see like a fiction book that incorporates like things that happened in the past or like past historical situations, even though like these characters don't exist. And that's kind of like a lot of movies have a vibe of like 90s and like 80s. And it's like they were created, like everything was created by like 2015 or like 2020. And it's like, it's really cool to see how they're able to incorporate such old ideas from like past films into like newer films, but make it the aesthetic of an old film. And it just like it just like scratches my brain in the right way. It's like, wow, this is so like nice. And I think like Stranger Things is one of the TV shows that like does that. It's all set in like a different time period. It's not new time period. Everything is different. Women are also pushed back, especially with like some of the scenes with Nancy and like her job and stuff. I feel like I love how people can incorporate that and like make it seem real even though it's not real. Like everything is not real, but the history just like checks out and everything is just like in that way. And it's like I just really love seeing that. And it's like in the show they never put them down, but history shows it like proves that they were put down and like different external characters put them down for different things. And it's cool how to see like the world just evolved from that into like trying to see everyone as an equal person, and it's like fine and it's great. Um but yeah, I think Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo really like opened my perspective on like when I read books, like just the way I want to interpret things. Like I just see books differently now after reading that book and after being able to discuss with other people what their opinions were on the book. Like, I just really enjoyed that. Um, yeah. Okay. Well, earlier in 2024, I read this book called Angel. I never fully finished it. Like I kind of just like skipped through to like specific parts. I didn't It's not that I didn't enjoy that book. It was just like a hard read. Like a lot of the things going on in that book, they just like weren't sticking in my brain. They weren't like properly like sitting in my brain. Like I would just read the book to read, and then it's like I would never get anything out of it, and I kind of just like I kind of gave up on it. But one book that I thoroughly enjoyed right after Evelyn Hugo was this book, The House Across the Lake. Um this was such a good book. Like I don't you not that many probably read this cuz it's like I feel like this is one of those underground books that like not that many people talk about, but it's good. I loved this book. This was like it's like a mix of like mystery and like fantasy mystery, but rather than like fantasy, it's more like it's pictured in like a real world kind of place. Like everything is mostly normal except for like the ending. And it's like as you read it, like you just want to keep reading more. Like when I first started reading it, I was like, this is okay. Like I don't understand the point of this book. But as I got towards the middle, I was like, oh my God, like this book is mind boggling. Like I loved it so much. I would definitely read it again. Like I would read something else, but something really funny about this was, since I read this after The Great Gatsby, I was like, The House Across the Lake? Like, that's giving major Great Gatsby. And in the middle of the book, in one of the pages, it was like, this is kind of giving like Great Gatsby when he like just like watches Daisy. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I thought this exactly when I picked up the book. It's like, no way. They're like alluding to like this other book that I just so happened to read in the same year. And I was like, wow, like, that's awesome. That's really cool. But I really like that book. Like, if you like mystery, you should pick this one up. This is really good. I found it at like Target. I was just like roaming around and I was bored and I was like, what if I just like bought a book, you know? So I did, and now I'm reading it. Or well, now I read it. I finished it, and it was such a good book. I'm glad I got into that. I'm glad that I read that book. It was very eye-opening, and like I was saying before about like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, like these books kind of just like give you new ideas. Like they like place it and it's like nice. It's like, wow, I read this book, which is like wonderful. And that's not it, guys. I have more books. Don't you worry. I don't have them written down in my notebook because I wrote this. I had this idea in January and it's February, a full month later. This book, Super Gifted. I never read Ungifted. That's just so funny to me. Like, I read the sequel before I read the actual prequel. But I should like reread this book because I genuinely don't really remember too much, and I for some odd reason put this in these stickers in here. I don't know why, but I do remember it's from a cotton candy thing. I was reading this on a different vacation when I went to my cousin's place. I should read this. Super Gifted is like, I loved that book. That was like, I don't know. I don't remember specifically what I liked about it, but that was something that I read and I was like, maybe I should start reading. Like, maybe I should get back into reading. This was like one of the books that kind of brought me into reading, but at the same time didn't, because I found my way through like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. And it's like, this book, actually, I'll talk about this last. We'll talk about this one. Fish in a Tree. I don't think I read the entirety of this book because I do not remember the ending, but I do remember that I was like really, like I could relate to the main character. When I read it, I was like, oh, this person is just like me. Like, I had one period of time, like this extremely depressive period of time, where I just like I fully just would pick up a book, like any random book. Like, I wouldn't even have any context to the book, and I would just like flip to a random page and just start reading. And it's like yeah, this was like the first book in a while that I picked up, and I started from the start of the book rather than just like picking a random page in the middle and reading like 3 chapters and then just like putting it away and being like, okay, yeah, that's enough reading for today. And I stole this from my cousin's house, so maybe I should give it back, but maybe not. But I like this book. I could really relate to the main character, and it's like a lot of books that you relate to the main character, they're kind of just like, wow, like I'm reading this book and it's like, it's me, like I'm replicated in this fake person, like this imaginary character. And it's like, wow, I like completely see myself in this character. And it's like, when you read it and you're seeing yourself, it's like, this is kind of like my story. Even though it's like a different story, like it's not related to your life at all. Like, it's like, oh my God, this is just my life written on paper. Even though some of this stuff don't relate to me, like I relate to it. Anyways, back to this one. One and Only Ivan. This book did wonders to me. I read this book 2 times, which is insane, because if once I read a book, I will never read it again, unless it's Diary of a Wimpy Kid, obviously, because there's just so many pictures in it. But One and Only Ivan was the only book that I came back to multiple times. And I just loved the entire story. Like, when I read it, I was just like, whoa. Like my mind, literally, I'm gonna read this again. Let's put the bookmark in here so I can remember. But it's like, yeah, I could relate to Ivan. Like I won't even lie. Like I saw myself in Ivan. I was like, wait, we're kind of twinning here. We're kind of twinning. Yeah, but this was, I think I read this in my middle school. I don't remember. I bought it at the book fair. So probably middle school. We don't do book fairs anymore, which makes me sad because I love book fairs. Speaking of book fairs, I might find out when my little sister's book fair is so I can go and cop a book. Potentially one of these. Because that was good. I'm definitely going to read this after. But stack of books that we discussed, I really like. I love these books. They're so nice. I love this one especially. You should read it. I'm not even like promoting these books for that. Like I'm just saying like these are good books. Like read them. But I really do love books, and like I said before, like it just adds creativity into your life. But at the same time, when I was talking about fish in a tree, I was talking about like my depressive tendencies. Like at a period of time during like my 8th grade and my freshman year, a little bit of sophomore, not too much though, but I was just like going through like a lot at that time. Like I just had so much to think about. I just wasn't able to just like concentrate on anything. Like I had terrible thoughts and I wish that upon no one. And it was like really stressful thinking about all that. And it's like sometimes reading these books, they just like take me into a different world. And it's like I could be like this person in my own mind. Like even though it's not real, like I could take about like 30 minutes a day and just like transform into this new character and experience exactly what they're experiencing instead of experiencing what I'm experiencing. In a way, it's a bad thing, but um like you get a reality check. When you're done reading, it's like, wait, I'm a real person with a real life. Like we are not the same. Like I am not the person in the book. I'm not experiencing what the person in the book is experiencing, but like, you know, just like thinking about it, like reading has made me sleep on time. Reading has made me set like a schedule where I'm not like always doing something dumb or like always doing something useless. Like I have good things now. It's raining outside. Anyways, like I just started sleeping on time and reading books just like kind of supported that because it's like I would read before I sleep and I'm pretty sure reading induces sleepiness unless that's like the butterfly effect and I'm just like randomly sleeping early because someone told me that reading helps you sleep better. But yeah, I mean, reading just really did help me fix my sleep schedule. So I hope you also have the butterfly effect after watching this and being like, oh, if I read a book, then I'll sleep better. If so, good luck to you. But yeah, I've just been sleeping early and that makes me really happy because I've been waking up early. Like when I mean that I'm sleeping early, I just mean like 11 or like 10:30 and not staying up until like 3 or 4, just like doing my homework. I wake up early, like I wake up at like 5 or 6 and I just have like an hour or two to spend before school, before I have to like actually get ready to go to school. Um, I just like have all that time to study. Like I've definitely, my grades have improved since last year by a lot. By a lot, I mean so much. My grades have improved a lot and it's like crazy because it's like if I had done this in my sophomore year, I could have been like a really happy person with a good GPA. But well, we can't have everything. So I'm just like glad that I'm coming into that this year rather than like senior year because that would be terrible for me. But yeah, I mean, if you're still in high school, if you're still in middle school, like read a book, like pick up a book. Like it will help you. I swear on my life. Like your problems will go away. I must say. But Also just like it's nice turning into other people. That's like kind of the main reason why I've been like trying to do something like related to film and stuff, like create stories, because it's like you can put yourself into another person's shoes. Like you are not living when you are acting as this person, you are not yourself. You are someone else. Like you have a different backstory, you have a different origin, you have a different role, purpose in society instead of you being yourself, having like a fantasy fictional having a fictional life is completely different to being living in real life. And it's so different. Like I feel like when if you were given like a script, you would see it and you'd be like, "Oh my god, this person has been through so much." And it's like I can relate, but I can't relate. Like we have different traumas. So it's like you can bond with the character as yourself. So I feel like that's just so like it just speaks volumes to me. Even in like music videos, sometimes like the music that you write is not related to yourself. That's what I do. The music that I write does not at all resonate with like well well it does resonate to me, but the story behind the song isn't real. I'm like Conan Gray in that sense. Like I've just never been in a relationship, but I write about that. So it's like you putting yourself in someone else's shoes is just so wonderful to me, and you feel for other people instead of just yourself, and it's like you know how hard things can be. And I've also been embracing I literally fumbled every single word in this podcast. I apologize. But I've been embracing change a lot better, honestly. After reading, it's like some people have it worse than me, some people have it better than me, but the change that I'm going through is the change that I'm going through, and it's different than what most people are going through. But at the same time, it's like just be glad that you have a life, that you're here. Like kind of just be glad that you have some kind of a purpose. Once you find your purpose, you'll have a reason to live. And it's like don't try too hard on like random things that are not going to affect you. But yeah, I've just been embracing change a lot more and finding my purpose in society, which is like somehow super weird to me because I feel like reading books should not be having that much of like a little impact on your life experiences. But it did for me, and that's just like so cool. It's like, wow, I'm so much happier reading books. That was loud. That was also loud. But yeah, this was longer episode than I expected to film. But I hope you enjoyed my I hope you enjoyed can I hope you enjoyed Speedrunning Cancellation, episode 5. And if you're new here, subscribe. I'm Mahathio. I make music. I write films, and sometimes I act. Except I've never been in anything.